Right, so welcome to the Untitled podcast. Again, it's me, the Crafter Me, and as ever, the Sauron to my Saruman, the Welsh miniature board gamer. How you doing, mate? You alright?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, good man, good.
Yeah.
Been up to much in the hobbying world since last time we spoke?
Not a lot, no. Not I've sort of painted what I needed to paint in order to get videos out, but that's about it, really. It's been just too hot, too uncomfortable, you know.
Yeah.
My old body doesn't manage the heat as well as it used to do.
Come on, man, you're not even that old.
I feel it. You're as old as I feel, or whatever it is, and I feel old. What about you? What have you been up to?
I painted a couple of Moonstone minis. That was it, really. I haven't done much. Same side. It's been a bit too warm to paint. Getting prepped and stuff. So mainly editing videos because I had a backlog of footage and just been getting them scheduled. So I'm 2-3 weeks ahead now, which is good.
Oh wow!
So I can relax a little bit because I only do one a week, so keeps it easy.
I was like well ahead of myself, and now I'm doing it week by week. So it's
yeah. This is it, man. Joys of being a YouTuber.
I know, such hard work.
So this episode we're going to be talking about painting and that area of the actual hobby, and I suppose looking at like equipment and kit and things that we'd think are good for sort of newbies. Looking at the sort of stuff we've done. I've got your photo of your layout. It's good, man. It's good. I took a photo of mine. Yours is organised.
Oh, wow.
I'm sitting here now. This is chaos on this desk. It's horrific.
Wow. Okay, yeah, so mine is set up on like a writing bureau.
Oh, okay, cool.
So I can fold it away, you know, and I can sit out with my smoking jacket and, you know.
Welsh gentleman board gamer. Yeah, man. A pipe would actually suit you.
No, that's the last thing I need is another health condition.
So yeah, okay. So painting, especially for someone who's brand new to the hobby, because there's a lot of videos out there, especially on our medium, the old YouTubes. I suppose we'll get into like tips and tricks and things in a bit, but just on equipment, what? Because if some of them videos, if you look at them, you're going to have to spend a couple of £100 worth of stuff, or a couple $100. There'll be a weird cut there due to technical difficulties. Then, but yeah. So if you look at videos on YouTube and whatnot for newbies, you're going to spend a couple of £100 worth of your hard-earned cash to get set up, or a couple $100.
Yeah, at least.
Do you need that much stuff?
No. Simple answer, we're done. Bye.
Yep, that's it. Thank you very much for listening, guys. See you on the next one. Yeah, you don't need all this stuff. You don't.
Definitely not. No. So, like, for brushes, I think both of us actually use probably the same brushes I've seen on your videos. And they're the cheap pack of, there's about 10 in a pack, and it's, I don't know, like £12 or something like that.
Occasionally, when I get their half price, I'll buy 3 or 4.
There you go.
Yep.
See? So, synthetic brushes. I'm not saying like the Kolinsky Sable brushes aren't good. They probably are.
I've got some of them as well, but I don't use them as much.
No. So I would say for a beginner, they'll probably add, say, 3% to your painting. And you don't really want to be spending all that much money to add 3% to your painting.
Yeah.
You know, and like I said to you in the past, I'm not looking nowhere Stoat's butt. Bring a brush liquor.
I've never done it.
Stoat's butt.
I've never done that. I've seen people just off the go. I'm like, no.
I always look.
Yeah. Oh.
My brush is out. It's a habit.
Well, I got worried once when I heard that some yellow paints have cadmium in them, which is cancerous. I was like, well, we don't want to be licking that then. Mm-hmm.
I do wash my brushes first. It is just to get a point on the brush.
Oh, okay.
It's not to clean the brush. That would be something pretty drastic.
I've seen people basically painting a little bit and then straight in, then getting for another paint, and I'm like, ooh. And they've got like multicoloured tongues and lips and stuff like that. That can't be good for you.
No, I wouldn't have thought so. Luckily, we're not in the day and age where we're still using lead paint. That would be.
Lead. Lead and asbestos. No.
Yeah, the gifts that keep on giving.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, so as you say, I go for the cheapo brushes. They're perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Okay, they don't last as long as the nicer ones. But sometimes, if I'm doing like a nice display piece, I'll probably crack out the better brushes then. But for your average, when I'm knocking out my bolt action at the moment, yeah, just get a multi-pack brush. I'm not too fussed. And I've found, to be fair, they're not that bad. They keep their point pretty well.
Well, that's the thing. And for the price, even if you get through a pack of them, or 2 packs of them, or 3 packs of them, or 4 packs of them, you're still going to be saving yourself money. And it's like, well, that's fine for me. And I noticed that Sam Lenz, who's won multiple Golden Demon awards, and he thinks like buy the cheapest brushes you can find. So if someone can win Golden Demon awards and use the cheap brushes, I think they'll do for the likes of me.
Exactly, this is it, man. I think a lot of it comes down to technique and practice, really. As with anything, it's practice makes perfect. Okay, so brushes, cheap, cheerful.
Yeah.
Is that before we go on to paints, because that's a minefield. That'll be an argument or two on the chat, or maybe even between us. But what
I doubt that.
What are essentials? I've got 2. They are, what are they? 1.5 litre steins here, filled with tools and brushes and all sorts. So is there anything else you would recommend?
Well, you're going to want a dry brush.
Okay.
Preferably like a makeup brush. They work alright, and they do it cheap, and the only thing you have to be careful of the makeup brushes, obviously they're not built to be bashed around like our paint brushes, so maybe you'll need to squeeze the ferrule a bit more to keep the bristles in.
Yep.
Because otherwise they'll just pop straight out, and you'll have a mess on your hand. Although then you do have some static grass that you can put down as reeds and stuff.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Dry brush. You're going to need a hobby knife. Clippers. But all these things, definitely don't go out and get a GW clippers or an army painted clippers. Just go to your hardware store, pick up, a little clipper, and that will do you. Same with the hobby knife. Go to the works, go to the range, whatever your equivalent is in your country. Pick them up from there, because you're going to save yourself a lot of money, and basically they do the same job. So
for a bit of a show and tell, so that is an old pair of Citadel clippers that I've had about six years. Cost me £12 at the time. That is a pair of clippers I bought off Green Stuff World for £6. They broke. The Citadel broke within 2 months of use. It doesn't spring back or anything. The Green Stuff World is still going.
Yeah, so, see, I was just about to leave then when you brought out the GW stuff. It was like, you just pissed on my grave.
No, they're not good. They really weren't good at all. Waste of money.
I think like a lot of things, if you're paying for a name, it doesn't necessarily mean you're getting a good quality product. It just means that you're getting a name. Yeah,
this is it. One thing I personally think is good for a newbie, and you don't have to go out and spend loads, so it's some form of painting handle. So this is a proper one that was bought for me as a gift with a removable head and everything, but you can literally, back in the day, an old paint pot with a bit of blue tack, perfectly fine. But that, just because going from years of painting like this with a brush and dropping it and breaking the mini to a paintbrush handle, is a massive jump straight away. So that's one I personally think for a newbie is good. But you
that's a
make it out of
really
anything.
Yeah, exactly. I still use paint pots. You know, I use craft paint pots with a bit of blue tack blobbed on top. The only time I don't use that is when it's like a heavy metal miniature, because the blue tack sometimes won't hold that thing in. Yeah, it just topple. You know, but then if it generally that means it's going to be a bigger miniature anyway. So chances are you can hold it okay with your hand. You know, so if it's like a standard human or smallish creature, average size creature. Then it would fit on a paint pot with blue tack and it'll stick fine. It's definitely not worth buying a especially designed product which is overly designed specifically to hold a miniature.
For years I had I cut the top, I think it's like the top 3 inches off a broom handle. Just use that, it was perfectly fine.
Right, okay.
It's just the right circumference. I think it's more so long as because we've all got different sized hands. As long as it's comfortable in your hand, that's it.
Yeah.
But that's that. Go on.
And another good thing is if you're going to be painting multiple miniatures at the same time, sort of having the pots the same sort of size, because like if you go from one size to another, your hand sometimes you grip them wrong or whatever, and it can feel very awkward. So you know, buy something cheap.
I think that's more us with old man hands now. I think. Started to seize up.
It could be.
Everything's just started to seize up now. But brushes. I think they call it a number 11 scalpel, but basically a craft knife. I got one from
X-Acto knife.
X-Acto knife, that's it. Good pair of clippers. Glues.
Okay, this is where we're probably going to differ.
Because a lot of miniatures, you might have to build them. It's very rare that you get them single piece. Me personally, and this is through years of trial and error, I would go for Tamiya extra thin cement, and then I buy Home Bargain super glue.
Okay.
Cheap as chips. It works.
Yep. Personally, I never touch poly cement.
Ooh.
Hate the stuff. Really hate the stuff.
But it smells so good. I'll put a thing so solvent abuse kills. Don't do it.
Don't do it. So yeah, I never use poly cement. I always use super glue. I've used super glue. Oh, was it Gorilla Gel super glue? I find it grabs quicker, so I don't have to be holding it for like you know a couple of minutes, and my hands will go dead again. Old man hands. my rigor mortis kicks in. So I find super glue is easier for me because I just I put it on and it'll grip within seconds. While poly cement for me takes too long to hold it in place. I know a lot of people like shifting things around and all, so that's why I like poly cement. Personally, for me, I'd rather it grab quick, and there is the thing that you can break super glue quite easily by putting it in the freezer and what have you.
Yeah, if you need to change anything, that's good.
While poly cement, once it's done, it's fused.
Yeah. Well, actually, one thing, just because if there are newbies who are actually watching this, poly cement is only used on plastic miniatures. It won't work on anything else as well. So,
another reason why I like super glue, because I just got it there.
I'll give you the Gorilla Glue is definitely better because it's that thicker gel, so it does bond quicker.
Yeah.
My only issue was it was getting to like £5 a pot. I was like, I don't want to pay that. But it is, if you're going to use that and not use like poly cement, the price leaving out.
Yeah, like the really runny super glue, I find that I end up gluing myself to the things more than I end up gluing the miniatures. So I'm going around with a toy gun attached to my hand.
Yep. That stuff is a pain in the backside. I hate that ultra thin stuff.
So I think first things first, avoid the really cheap runny super glue because you're gonna be wondering why it's not sticking right and why you're always sticking yourself to the miniature instead of the miniature to itself. Yeah, and that would be why you're using too watery a glue, and it just wasn't made for our hobby. Yeah,
definitely. Anything else that's? I'm just looking at all my kit now.
Because light. How about light?
Yes and no. So if budget's an issue, get yourself a desk by the window. And unfortunately, you are then constrained. You can only paint in natural light, but that natural light is brilliant. If you can afford one, I have had several over the years. This one I've got here, which I couldn't tell you what it's called. It's a massive. It's just one light that goes right the way across my desk. And it's really high bright, and you got like lots of settings and stuff. I think it was about £70. I have not used anything since. I've had this now, 9 years.
Right.
It's a brilliant light. That's my go-to.
So I use.
You got a posh one?
No, it's a cheapy Amazon one.
That's not what was in the photo.
No, I know. This is the one I had before I upgraded to that one.
Yeah.
But for a beginner, this was like I don't know, about 12 quid lamp, and you can change the different colours of lighting, so it can be like a warm glow or a blue glow or whatever.
Because that's something actually. You saying that now? I would recommend, if you can, get something like that with alternating lights, preferably LED because it doesn't heat up. But also you want a white light.
Yeah.
Or a blue light at a push. But I found my painting was terrible when I had a warmer light on. Because
you see all the colours wrong.
Yeah.
So it looks great while it's under that sort of light, but as soon as you take it out into a different light, you're like, what the hell's that colour? It suddenly changes, and it's a weird thing. But yeah, I want, being an older painter and a painter with awful eyes, I need light. So if you're a beginning painter and you wear glasses for like reading, etc., you'll probably need some light to cast on a miniature. If you're a youngster getting into it, you're probably not going to need, much more than daylight,
Yeah, definitely invest in a good LED light, preferably white light. This is not an essential, but this is something that's I have only found this last week. It's blown my little mind. So this stuff, it's £1.50 from Hobbycraft in the UK. It's just white foam. Put that on your desk when you're painting. The light reflects off the white, and you see a lot clearer. I've noticed even with my glasses on, I am seeing a lot better when I'm painting, and my videos look a little bit nicer as well. But that was a friend pointed it out. He has a piece of card, and I thought, well, I was in Hobbycraft, I'll just grab a piece of foam, it's the same stuff, and it's really good. It's not an essential, but
that's a good tip. It's not one I would have thought of. So that's a good tip. But like you said, sorry, coming back, you were on about my posh lamp.
That's a posh lamp, that is.
That was an early birthday present from my wife, so that's why it's a posh lamp. Yeah. I would never buy that myself. It was just something that she bought me.
I'll whack up your picture that you sent me of your hobby.
Yeah. So that's because I needed light and my eyes are shot.
Yeah.
So those, all right, go into that. Those type of lamps, if you're a beginner, do not buy those type of lamps.
No.
Because they throw your perspective off, and they're really awkward then to like find your paint, find the miniature, find the paint, find the miniature, etc. I've got used to that sort of thing, so it's kind of normal for me. If you're gonna buy magnifying things, if your eyesight is that bad, buy the head-mounted little ones with the two lenses. That's what I was wearing for years, and it's perfectly fine. The only reason why I've gone over to this lamp is in the hot weather, it sort of slid down my face. But if you haven't got a bald head, you'll be fine.
But yeah, okay, so good light, some cheap brushes, but again, you don't have to break the bank. £12, perfectly fine from Amazon. Anything else before we get on to paints and the...
No. I honestly, I know you use a wet palette, but I don't think it's something that is essential.
No, it's not.
A plate, a palette of any sort will do. Preferably something that isn't porous. That's gonna keep your paint.
Well, for years I used an old bathroom tile.
Perfect. Yeah.
And it was perfectly fine.
Yeah.
And then, to be fair, wet palette. Before I took the plunge and bought one, I followed. There's plenty of tutorials out there, and I made my own with an old lunchbox and a bit of paper towel, and it was a really good wet palette.
Yeah,
So
The only wet palette I've used two. The one I made myself and the one I bought from a manufacturer. And the one I bought from a manufacturer I hated so much I stopped using the wet palette.
yeah.
I liked the one I made myself and I hated their one. So I stopped using wet palette. So it's not something that you need to use. It's something that if you wanted to mix several colours and make your own unique colours, then a wet palette's quite useful because it'll keep it, fresh.
Kitchen towel, I suppose, is an essential. You want something there just to wick off extra moisture.
Toilet paper for me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just a slight aside on the wet palettes as well. This is a bit of a crafty tip. So that's the lid from my wet palette. I have stuck a plethora of crap on there that I use as a dry brush palette. Because I'm not going to go and spend 50 quid on a piece of MDF that's just got a laser etched design in it. So that's got various texture. I mean, it's a mess, and every so often just spray it black. But yeah, I use that for my dry brushing. I'll be honest with you, I go back to toilet roll and kitchen roll a lot of the time as well.
That's what I use for my dry brushing.
Yeah.
It's just a bit toilet roll, everybody's got it. It's always lying around, If you're in a large family, you've got an awful lot of toilet paper lying around.
But yeah, so just to round up those essentials, so cheap Amazon brushes, a decent light, LED preferably, just super glue to start with, and make sure it's a thick super glue, and a pair of clippers and a hobby knife or X-Acto blade, and that is it.
That is absolutely it for those. Yeah. I think we're on to paints, are we?
I've got to be polite here and not swear.
Don't swear.
Right. This, and again, I will preface this with these are our personal opinions through years of doing this hobby.
Yep.
Do not buy Citadel paints. Because let's be honest, the majority of us, when we're new, we get into the hobby, we're going to go to a games workshop because it's the most accessible, and that's perfectly fine. There are other issues with GW that we may or may not have. Their paints are crap. They used to be good, but I don't know what they've done there. They're charging more for them and they're worse. So don't do GW paints.
Okay, so my only experience with GW paints is like 20 years old, so I can't really attest to the quality of them these days. Like they used to be okay. They were fine. They were one of the few I could get hold of when I was younger, so they were okay. I couldn't really compare them to anything else. But yeah, I've heard a lot of people moving away from GW the longer they're in the hobby. Yeah.
Like some stuff, like I still have a couple of their washes and whatnot, but they're things you don't really need as a beginner. But yeah, their core paints are rubbish. Go on.
Go on. No,
I was going to say, so I went for Citadel very early on. I went to Army Painter, which I really enjoyed. Nice coverage. I found that the gel, what's the word? The thing that carries the pigment. There's a special science word. But yes, the thing that carries the pigment in the paint when you put it out, it's like a gel formula. And I found that sometimes for blending was a bit of a pain, but I would say for newbies, really good.
Army Painter for me was very mixed. It was a good price, which is why I always bought it. The trouble is you have to shake the ever-loving shit out of it to get it to mix. And if you're unaware of that, you start like thinking, "Oh, does something wrong with this paint?" or what have you. So yeah, you have to know that you will have to shake the life out of this paint in order to get it to mix. But once it is mixed, it's good, because everybody I've heard, like, they used to say, "Oh, it's really watery," and it's like, no, you just haven't shaken it enough. You're just getting the shit off the top.
That's the word, medium. Yeah, it's the gel medium, and it does need a really long time to mix.
Yeah. One of my earliest videos was how to mix Army Painter paints.
Yep, to be fair. For me, as a pure newbie, if Army Painter, if you haven't got the money, if you've got a little bit extra cash, Vallejo, 100%. I have used them for years. I continue to use them. I've got the posh pro acryls and crap like that I do for fancy stuff, but Vallejo are the workhorse of my paints.
I think that's exactly it. It can take you from the beginning of your hobby to the end of the hobby.
Yeah.
You know, you if you're just going to stick to one paint, that would be the one to go for. You know, because they do everything you need the paint to do.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying they are the 100% best at everything, but they're so good at everything.
Yeah.
They may not be the best, but they're good at everything. Yeah. So
definitely. They're really nice paints.
Exactly. That's what I've stuck to since I found Vallejo.
Yeah. I would 2 warnings for newbies. 1, don't go out there and buy Pro Acryl. They are fantastic paints. They are brilliant paints, and I own the core set, the metallics, and one of the expansion sets. Don't buy them. Which sounds weird considering I absolutely love them.
Yeah.
There's a massive learning curve with those paints because they're so heavy pigmented. Therefore, one of my subscribers actually nailed it in my in a comment, and they said they're really good for doing your arty stuff. But if you bog stand, you want to paint your miniatures for your game, your war game, whatever it might be, do a Vallejo. And I completely agree. Yeah. The other one is stay away from contrast paints. Now, how do I word this without sounding like a dick? Right. I don't like slap chop, and this is not the reason why I say don't use contrast paints. Contrast paints, when they first came out, I think it's slightly different now, to be fair, and army painters, speed paints are better. But that whole sort of speed paint, contrast paint bubble, originally it was marketed as, this is all you need, this in a bottle, if you're a newbie, great. You know what, no, I literally bought some, I slapped it on the miniature exactly as they'd advertised, and it was terrible. There were tide marks everywhere, there was various like mismatched colours. No, they're not newbie friendly. They're for people who've painted for a while and know how to use them.
So how I use them, I've got speed paints. I haven't got the contrast ones. GW.
We're gonna do an anti-GW episode. I feel it.
I'm not anti-GW. I'm not anti anyone. But GW have dug their own grave in a lot of ways. But yeah, Army Painter speed paints. I don't use them as intended. I use them as like a glaze, or as like a kind of a wash, I suppose. I'll water them down and what have you, and use them that way. Yeah. So definitely not for beginners. Yeah. You know, definitely not the way they're supposed to be used. If anything's supposed to be used in a certain way. Yeah. But yeah, that's how I actually quite like speed paints, but not for painting a miniature from scratch. Yeah. Don't worry, I think the slap chop technique, it can be very good for people trying new things. The issue I personally found with it, it seems like it was this huge thing that everyone did videos on YouTube, and then it's slap chop or nothing now. It just gets you to a point that you're stuck, and you're never going to learn things like wet blending and shades and washes and stuff that you can do to manipulate your painting and make it better. Yeah, like I don't do wet blending. I don't do a lot of those things that you talk about. Yeah. You know, but even for me, speed paints was too little. I'm not involved in the paint job. It's just a matter of throwing paint on it. Now, if I want to do that, I could go back to the old days when you used to have the quick shade army painter that you dipped your miniatures in the pot. Right. You remember that? That was... Oh, wow. That's a long time ago. Yeah. And that was like coloured polyurethane or something. It was like, it's horrendous stuff. But if you wanted to get stuff done quick, yeah, okay. But that's not what the hobby's really meant to be about. It's meant to be about, painting and enjoying the painting. Yeah. Not about, all right, I want to get something that looks pretty shit, but it'll be done. That's... Yeah. No. That's not what we're looking for. Yeah, completely agree. So yeah, well, I think just because it might get a bit confusing for newbies, there's going to be a list as we're saying this.
These are what we think are the essentials. Things that you might want to add, and this is just a me personal, is you might want to do the army, and I would go army painter, to be fair. I think they're the best ones. But their shade set. So it's their washes of various tones and colours. It's a one-off payment. You get it for, if it's on sale, you get it for about, I've seen it as cheap as 14 quid. Anywhere up to about 30. And I think that's a cracking little addition. But it's not really an essential, but it will add a lot to your painting.
Okay, so I'll ask Crafty to put up this picture of my miniatures before I used washes, before I discovered washes back in the day.
Yeah, man.
And you can see the paint job was okay. It's like everything's in its place, everything's fine. But washes, if you can consider it as technique, that's the technique you want to learn, is washes. Because washes make you look so much better than you are. You know, they'll give you like shades, they'll give you lining, they'll give you so much if you use a wash. So, you know, using that old picture as an example, it looked okay, but it looked like a little bit like one of those old tin soldiers that you see in the museum or whatever, you know, because there wasn't any sort of definition, there was no breakdown of color, you know, so washes will give you that. So I would say, yes, it's not an essential, but washes are pretty close to an essential if you want a pretty decent paint job.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, definitely. It's the amount of depth it adds to the paint job. It, like, just something simple. For example, if you're painting, I remember when I first did some Airfix stuff, and all the panel lines on the plane. You can go in with a panel line and all this faff, or you just put a wash on. You go, oh, it's done. It's done it all for me. I haven't got to mess around with it now, and it just adds. Say, if you got a before and after, have you, of pictures?
I've got a picture of one of my first miniatures, or one of my early miniatures, which I've sent you, and it's of a Bretonian archer, I think it was.
Yeah.
And the colours, you know, the colours are fine, you know, but there's no depth to him because he didn't have any washes or anything. Admitted, yeah, I could have gone over like the colours more to bring out the colours, you know. But at the time, that was when I was not learning, but I wasn't a particularly great painter. So if I had had a wash at that point, I think that would have made a hell of a difference because, you know, that it takes one colour and turns it into 2 or 3 colours, you know?
Definitely. If you would allow me a slight plug, if you go on my channel, there's by the time this comes out, it'll be a couple of months old, the bolt action video I did. So for my British Airborne, you see there that I do all the base colours, one unifying wash over everything, and then I'll go and pick out very specific things like the red beret. Done. For that scale, and you're standing, 2 metres away on average from your army or whatever, it's fine. Perfectly fine.
Yep.
So that's okay. So that's our pretty much what we recommend for a newbie in the hobby.
Yeah.
Now, beyond that, what should you be looking at, and what should you be wanting to do? Do you think?
Personally, if you're happy with the paints you've got, stick with that brand.
Yep.
Don't get too adventurous. At least until you've been doing this for quite a few years, and you're like starting to want to see what's over the fence. You know, I was, just expand on your color range. Expand on stuff like that, because yes, you can mix your own colors, and to begin with, you're going to have to mix your own colors because you're not going to have a wide variety of paints.
Yeah.
But as you get on, it's just easier to be, all right, I want a dark brown. Okay, I want a lighter brown. I want a mid-tone brown, whatever. Which, in the beginning, you're not going to have. But as you go on, I think, honestly, just buy the paint that is the next shade up, Yeah. Because if you're halfway through painting a miniature and you put it down and you come back and you're like, what colour did I use for that? Oh, it was this middle brown, or whatever. You don't have to mix a particular colour.
Yeah. That's a fair point. That's one of the reasons, actually, and I'll say this even for Citadel paints, because they do the same sort of thing. They've got the layer base and highlight, I think it is, or base layer highlight system. So Army Paint's got the same thing. So you'll have 3, let's say, blues, and on the bottle it'll show you which steps if you want to use them as a base, a layer, and a highlight. So if you wanted to, let's say you were doing an army of, I don't know, Space Marines, and they're all blue, you could just buy those 3 blues, and you've got your base, your highlight, and your top layer there.
That's not to say you don't have to mix them. Obviously, you know, if you want an extra step in between, you just mix 50-50 of the one color and, you know, the other color, etc. But yeah, that's kind of what I would do, and that's what I've done. I can mix the colors. I can probably mix like a color twice. Like even if I've stopped, you know, and come back to it, I could probably get the same color roughly. But there's always that, you know, human error. You know, that you're like. You could waste a load of paint trying to get the same color again, you know? Yeah.
It's it feels like it's a lot. Things are a lot more user friendly these days compared to back in the day where you had 9 paints in the starter set and off you go. Mix everything, and they were all really bright and in your face as well.
Yeah, it was like going back to preschool, you know? Your poster paints. It felt like.
So that's essential sort of gear and paints. Any essential tips for newbies? There is one, and it is a meme, and I am well aware, but that's thin your paints. 2 thin coats rather than 1 thick coat, because you'll lose all the definition and the detail on your mini. That's the main tip.
Yeah, which I never take any notice of.
Really? Do you just whack it on?
I leave a lot of moisture on my brush. So
okay.
I don't actually add water to the paint, but my paintbrush is always pretty wet. So I'm adding water every time I dip my brush in. So that's kind of the
That's because you're licking it all the bloody while. You weirdo.
I have to entertain myself somehow.
I'll try.
So I would say posture is a big one.
Oh, interesting. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So if you can get your elbows up closer to your shoulders. So this table I'm sitting at right here now. Oops, I just banged that thing. I shouldn't have done that. Sorry.
That's right.
Deafened everyone. So the table, I actually made this table, by the way.
Look at him, man.
Yeah, I know. So the table lies about sort of chest height to me when I'm sitting in a normal chair. So I'm not stooping forward.
Yep.
So if you can't do that, proper cushion or something under your elbows. And then hug your body in when you're painting.
Like this?
Like that.
Exactly. I don't do that.
That must mean that you've got... That must mean that you've got pretty good control of your body.
You know what though? Seriously, I'm sitting here and I'm just with a dry brush.
Yeah.
That is a hell of a lot easier to paint off. All these years I'm like this.
Yeah. The more you lock yourself in, the less you're moving.
Yeah. Okay.
The less you've got the shakes or anything. So if you suffer from shakes or anything, the more you lock yourself in, the less of your body is moving to get that paintbrush on moving. Okay? So for me, posture is quite important. You know, I'm an old man.
You're like 5 years older than me.
Those 5 years, man. They've been hard 5 years. hey, and I'm 5 years older than you, married with 2 children. You know, that's at least 20 years there.
I mean, that's a lifestyle choice, mate. That's not...
Go on, just say it. That's a sentence.
But that's... see, weirdly, so if what I'll start doing, if I'm painting for myself, I'll start doing that. I'll give it a go. Because that did actually feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
I've just got an issue I've personally got with recording for YouTube, because the camera's here, pointing down. I can't really... I've got to go under the...
No, 100%. YouTube painting is something completely different to, you know, the average guy painting, you know, because you do need to think about where your head is in relation to the camera and making sure that you're not in front of your light, etc., which is something that, you know, general painter doesn't have to worry too much about, you know. So I would say YouTube and painting are 2 different things, you know.
Okay. So that, we'll call that the Welsh grip. So ensure you've got the Welsh grip.
Just lock yourself in. Come on, work out while you're doing it.
I've got this image now of these. There's these newbies into the hobby who are shouting things like that, and the people in the house are like, "What are you doing?" I'm just doing the Welsh grip.
Yeah. Just for your information, you don't have to make the grunts as you do it.
Yes, you do. You do. Don't listen to him. You do have to do the grunts, please. But yeah, that's good. If you light source, if you can, try and have it over the top of you. Obviously, depending on the type of lamp you got, if you can get it over the top, because you want top down light to see everything on it,
and cast the correct shadows.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm trying to think of some of the other. See, I love this is one of the, and I understand it's part of the algorithm and clickbaity and all this crap, but there's the amount of videos on YouTube. It's like these 5 tips to improve your painting, and you watch it and go, "Nah, it's all bollocks, mate." Because the most important tip, I personally think, and this is someone who's a decent painter. I'm not the best.
You're pretty good.
You're kind to say. I'm trying to push myself to another level now, but no, I think is have fun with it.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have fun, it's not a hobby. You're not going to enjoy it, and you're going to paint and go, "Yeah, I'm bored," and you'll never progress.
100%. Don't set your goals too high.
Yeah.
So, yeah, enjoy it and practice and enjoy the practice. Don't worry about your first few miniatures looking like hot garbage. Because I guarantee by the time you get to your 20th miniature, it's going to look better than that first guy did.
Yeah.
I would say concentrate. Try and think of what you're doing as a colouring book.
Yeah.
You're trying to stay within the lines. You're trying to get those colours in that place. And then if you can do that, once you've learnt to keep the sort of fine detail in your hand from shaking, because it's like writing. No one knows how to write straight away. You have to practice it writing in order to get neat handwriting. And it's the same with painting. You have to practice and you have to do it repetitively before you're going to be able to do, the basic keeping it in the lines, etc. And that's perfectly natural. Don't beat yourself up if it's like, I can't stay in the lines. You will.
Yeah.
Yeah. And once you've done that, then you can learn washes, whatever. But just learn the basics.
Yeah, definitely. I'll tell you a really good tip I was shown when I first got into the painting hobby was, it'll have to be a Space Marine because that was the example at the time. It was from Space Crusade, so good Space Marine. But yeah, so if you imagine you've got a Space Marine, and for this one it was a Blood Angel, so it's all red. All the armour's red. Okay, there's going to be little bits of trim and whatever, but it's all the predominantly red. And what my uncle got me to do was, instead of just whacking the paint on, was each individual shoulder pad, the groin plate, the belt, the chest, paint all of them individually as neat as you can. Because yes, the whole thing's red anyway, but the amount of brush practice you get doing that, and that helped wonders doing that.
Yeah. And don't be afraid. If you can't keep it in the lines, you can always paint over it.
Yeah.
So you just the next color, you just go over it. So I'm pretty awful at rushing things, and so I'll do the skin first, which is kind of what they teach you to do, and then my skin, I don't worry if it goes onto my shirt or my tunic or whatever, because I know I'm going to come to that and I'm going to paint over it anyway. Yeah. So don't worry about that too much. But obviously, if you can keep in the in the lines, try to do that, because as you say, it's a good way of teaching yourself a bit of motor control and fine control.
It's like there was a guy at a what would you call it, a gaming modelling store near me, and he's really good at painting, and I was showing him some of my stuff, and we were going through some things, and he sort of hit it home. He says, "You're not actually remember, you're not painting colour. You're painting light, just in colour." And because it's amazing how you could have the neatest miniature in the world with all the colours blocked out beautifully. When you start adding those highlights and those extra little bits, that's when it starts progressing.
Yeah. So, like I said, having a nicely painted miniature just in like colors, not in shades or what have you, it does look like those old metal tin miniatures that, and if that's your aesthetic, want them to look like, all well and good for you, good on you, Not everyone's going to paint the same way.
Yeah.
And I think that's important to get across is, find your way of doing it. Don't copy some dude on the internet unless you're trying to learn a new technique.
Yeah.
Definitely. Otherwise, it's not your work. It's a photocopy of someone else's work.
Yeah. Which, I mean, in itself isn't necessarily a bad thing.
No.
As you say, if you're there to learn a new technique or a new whatever it is the video is sort of showing off, absolutely fine. But it's definitely. Also, and this is something, and unfortunately this is hindsight. Don't worry if you're going to take, let's say it's an army, and you're going to go to a store and play a game. The opposition's got a better painted force than you. Don't get disheartened by it. Doesn't matter. Really doesn't matter. And if they're the kind of person you're playing who's saying horrible stuff, just me personally, I'm old school. Flip the V's and walk off. Stuff them. They're not nice people, but don't compare yourself to other people's paintwork because you don't know how long that person. Also, did that person even paint them, or did they get them commission painted by a professional? So.
Yeah. Judging in anything in life, judging yourself on someone else is not a good idea. Whatever you're going to be doing, don't do that to yourself. It's no point. They're not you. They haven't got your lifestyle. They haven't got whatever health problems you might have. They might have more money than you. They might have, all of these things are variables which might make them a better painter than you.
Yeah.
But like myself and you say, the whole point, if you're painting miniatures, I think the whole point you should be trying to find is the zen in painting the miniatures or the enjoyment in painting the miniatures. Yeah. If you're just trying to get them done, I don't know how you do that to yourself, how you force yourself to do a hobby which you don't particularly like in order to get a painted army or whatever. That just sounds horrendous to me. Try and find the enjoyment in painting,
I suppose, because I do agree with that statement, but I suppose the devil's advocate in that is because I've played in tournaments where you need to have your army painted and you are at a deadline and I've just got to bash these out now.
Yeah.
One colour and a wash done and maybe pick some bits out.
In which case, yeah, exactly. You do the bare minimum because, but don't expect them to be brilliant if you hate the hobby.
Yeah.
Hate the hobby of painting. Don't do it to yourself. Do the bare minimum you need to in order to play that game that you want to play.
Yeah, definitely. It's something I even to this day I continue. I've been painting now for nearly 30 years. Right. So it's something I still struggle with. Sometimes I'll paint something and I'll spend hours and hours and I'll be like, that looks terrible. And and it's something I bang on about in my videos. If you really don't like it, strip it, start again. Doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
And to be honest, don't be so hard on yourself.
Yeah.
It's a miniature. It's a lump of plastic.
It's a toy soldier at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's not going to save the world if you paint this really well or if you paint it really bad. It's just going to be a piece of plastic that you painted well or not so well.
Yeah, wow. Definitely. I've got some of the little bits I personally think are good little additions. These are not essential. Caveat with that straight away. First one is a 0.05 fine liner for eyeballs because I ain't painting pupils anymore. Stuff I can't be bothered. It's too much effort. You'd be lucky if I do the whites of their eyes. Sometimes it's just flesh, wash, done.
And from a human perspective, I was looking the other day actually how far away a person would have to be to look 28mm, and it's something like 400 meters away or something. It was something ridiculous. I ain't seeing no one's white of their eyes if they're 400 meters away from me. I'm lucky if I can see their face. So
definitely.
And that's not just because I got awful eyesight. So eyes more often than not as well, if you do eyes, they're going to look weird.
Yeah, they always...
Yeah. You may as well be sticking googly eyes on them or something, you know.
Yeah, it's one of them. I've found the eyes look better, and I've got a lot more control with the pen. So I do not use paintbrush anymore.
Well, so I pick the whites of the eyes, and then I've just put a wash over it.
Yeah.
So it's a lighter, you know, something different about it, so it stands out somewhat.
Yeah.
But you're not quite. You can't really pick out what is, you know, different to
Yeah.
the rest of the skin, really, apart from it's a shadowed area with some sort of lighter colour.
Yeah. And to fair, then this goes back to what we were saying earlier about washes. Just a simple wash it works wonders.
And doing eyes is... It was at one point one of those things of like, look at me, I can do eyes with a paintbrush. And, you know, it's like, yeah, big whoop, okay.
Yeah, it's... Again, it goes back to just enjoy yourselves. Paint what you want to paint. Different if you're deliberately collecting a particular army or whatnot. Obviously, there's things there. I personally go down the route. I will just scroll through Etsy for hours, find something that I go, oh, that looks fun. I'll paint that, and I'll just buy it and go for it.
I think, like you said, that depends on what. If you can paint for a game, you know, that depends on the game. You know, obviously, GW, Mantic to a certain extent. If you're going to be playing Dead Zone or whatever, you know, you need something. You know, those sort of games are not miniatures agnostic, so then you do have to kind of, you know, use sort of their miniatures. You know, if you're going to be playing in any sort of game, you know, that's against people who are maybe not so forgiving as your friends might be, you know. So
because I think there's some places now there's rules and like you have to have the official minis and.
Oh, 100%. I saw this picture online of it said that you had to use GW plastics. So this guy had made an whole army out of GW sprues.
Oh yes, yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, fair play.
It was funny. I thought, wow, that is a way to get around it.
It's their plastic. Can't complain. So GW. Ugh. Damn them and the amount of money they've stole from you in the past.
See, everything always comes back to GW.
We're going to have to do that subject at some point.
That subject. Sorry, I had this terrible taste in my mouth then.
But yeah, have fun. Is again, that's the main thing. Enjoy it. It's a hobby.
Like you said, know why you're painting.
Yeah. Is there anything else in regards to painting you would add? Anything especially for newbies?
Okay. All right. So I'll break it down for newbies. So base coat. You pick a color which you're going to be able to sort of utilize to your best ability. So don't use a black base coat if you're going to have a lot of skin tones on it. You know, pick like a brown or whatever. So that's your first thing. Just put a base coat which you're going to be able to use in some way. It'll make your life a lot easier, that you won't have to paint over a dark color or over a light color or whatever. So then you do your colors for all the miniatures. So, you know, red top, blue trousers, brown shoes. Wash it. Go back over with the base color again, so the reds and the blues and what have you, and maybe highlight once more. That would be more than enough for a beginner to do. You know, you don't have to go higher and higher and higher. Yeah, so that's what I would say to a beginner. You know, those are the steps that I personally, as a painter, that's what I do most of the time anyway.
Yeah.
I don't go any higher with the highlights, and to me, it looks decent enough, you know, and, you know, try that. Now, I know you paint to a much higher standard than myself.
It's not that much higher, though, really.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I actually don't think so.
Yeah, that's because you're a nice dude and you don't like to point out other people's faults. But no,
especially, but with the that 28mm scale for, I don't think there's a lot of difference in our paint jobs. You know, I do more busts and display pieces, and then I've got to take my extra time. But yeah, the normal Battlefields. Yeah, it's just a wash and a, like you say, base colour, wash, base colour, done. I don't even highlight it half the time.
It depends on what it is. Like, if there's a lot of fabric floating around, it just calls to be highlighted once more, doesn't it? You know,
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
You know, but,
I would, within that as well, with what you said there for newbies, one thing, stop looking at the box art. Just don't do it to yourself. They're professionally painted, all photoshopped, and the companies will fucking deny it, but they are.
Right, well, I have this. Right, so we're going to probably do a video on this at some point. Inspiration. Difference between inspiration and copying.
Okay, yeah.
And there is a difference. Inspiration, that's what that box art should be for. You know, yes, it is a colour scheme. Follow that colour scheme. That's fine. That's perfectly fine. But it's just for the inspiration of, oh, yeah, that guy looks cool. I'll use those colours and I'll paint him that, you know, like that. But you don't have to copy it.
Yeah.
There is a distinct difference, which I think newbies don't know the difference.
Yeah, it's because that's something, unfortunately, that is years of trial and error. That's taken me to get to the point where I go, oh yeah, don't worry about the pictures that are on there. It's why I kind of like Warlord stuff, because it's just a piece of art from an Osprey book. It's like using a bolt action, for example. There's a painted mini on the back, but that's just to say this colour for this bit, and that's it.
Yeah, I suppose you could say with a lot of Osprey stuff, they're much more historically sort of aimed. So you do kind of have to look at the colours, but I'm not going to be worried if you're painting your German late war German grey or early war German grey. You know,
there is a huge difference, and it must be. I
know. There will be people who will be sniping from me and from the bushes just for saying such a thing. But yeah. If
there's a colour that you want to use that works, do it, man. Go for it. Experiment. Worst case, you strip it and start again.
Exactly, 100%. And another newbie tip. So, just because a colour may be called, say, something like dark sand, doesn't mean that it's only used for dark sand. I use dark sand as my base tone for my skin tones. You know, and there's lots of things out there like, bestial brown or whatever, and it'd be like, it's kind of a yellowy ochre brown or whatever. That can be used for anything. Don't think that they are only.
It's a good point. It's a good point.
Yeah, you know, you don't have to just use the skin tones that come in a pack.
Yeah, because I think right now you've got dark flesh, skin tone, and I use pale sand for a lot of mixing because it's just a nice warm undertone on everything. And you can make it redder if you want to, or you can make it a bit more like darker if you want to. Yeah, it's the same with, say you want to paint someone with black skin tone. You know, don't go for try and look for a black skin tone paint. You know, just go for a really dark brown and slowly move your way up the colour. Until you get the tone that you're right with, and the deep recesses will look like the shaded muscles, etc. Yeah, because I suppose that's the other thing as well. Within that is unless it's for a very specific thing, don't ever paint anything ultra realistic as well. Don't. It's too much effort.
Most of the games we were playing are about little green men, and wizards and whatnot. You know, why do they have to be exactly human? You know, they're toys. They're representations of what we want them to be. They don't have to be exact pictures. It's the same, like, if you're an oil painter and you're painting a person, why are you bothering doing that? You can take a photo and it's a much better picture of that person. You know, it's an art form. That's why, you know, so...
Oh, miniature painting is an art form. Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. I agree.
It's definitely... Anything that you create something from nothing is an art form.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. It's just I've had arguments in the past with people go, it's not art. You're just painting toy soldiers. Like, and then I'll throw out one of my competition pieces, but bitch, please, can you
Just.
Can you paint that? I don't think so.
Well, no, but, like you can have art being colouring books, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
There's stages from a child colouring a colouring book, and there's like a grandmaster artist colouring a colouring book. It's all art, but we're quite lucky. We got the little miniature to paint, so we don't have to think about the outline and what they're wearing. How to make it.
No, that's cool. I think that's it for painting, especially for newbie friendly stuff. I think we might come back to this subject in the future if there's people out there who have specific questions. We can always address. But for newbies, I think that's it. Well, so basic brushes, army painter for a good value paint set, a good light, and a decent pair of clippers and an X-Acto blade and some super glue, and off you go. And go ham, have fun.
Yeah. Another thing, if you're a beginner, maybe avoid the metal miniatures to begin with.
Okay, interesting. Okay.
Only because of the need for doing primers before you put your paint on, otherwise they'll chip.
Yeah, fair point. Yeah. I don't paint many metal miniatures, to be honest. It's very rare.
I paint an awful lot of metal miniatures, and that's the thing I find is that's the only problem with metal miniatures. I'd rather metal miniatures, to be honest.
Okay.
But you do have to put a decent quality primer down first. Otherwise, the paint will just chip away with the slightest bang afterwards. Even if you put a decent varnish all over the top of it, it's always going to break away. So maybe avoid the metal miniatures until you're a bit more into the hobby.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's fair. Right then, so that was basics on for newbies for miniature painting. It's something we'll probably touch on in a future episode as well. If you have any questions, leave them for myself or Welsh, and we'll address them in a future podcast. But where can they find you?
So the usual places: Welsh Miniature Board Gamer on YouTube,
and the Crafty Mini on YouTube as well. But thank you very much, guys, and we'll see you on the next one.